Hi, welcome back to As a Matter of Fact. I'm Todd Heyman. Today we're going to be talking about how to display a sense of urgency. It may not be what you're thinking. Let's talk about having a sense of urgency. So, a little history. 2 years into my leadership development, a new plant manager transferred into the facility. In our first one-on-one, he told me, "Todd, what you're doing is great. I have a few pieces of feedback for you." One thing I've learned in my journey is that feedback is a springboard that can launch you to the next level if applied correctly. So I got a little excited. I would like to see more attention to detail. Oh, okay, all right, I can do that. Adherence to standards. Even better. Safety is all about standards, and I was the safety manager, so that works out. And urgency. Urgency? Rarely do the words urgency and safety share the same sentence. Let me put this in perspective for you. Safety management is both an art and a science, but it has its own flavor, its own cadence to it. Let's compare it to another department, like let's say operations. Both are essential to the business. Both affect the bottom line. If operations were music, it would be classic rock. Safety would be the Philharmonic. You get where I'm going here? Safety embraces the slow, the predictable, the quiet. Similar to the CIA, the more safety stays out of the news, the more successful it seems to be. So I took some time to wrap my head around the definition of urgency as it was spoken of by my new boss. Well, it's been 3 years, it's taken some tweaking, but I think I'm starting to finally figure it out. Let's take a look at urgency in 2 separate ways. The first may better be described as frantic desperation. It's that feeling of trying to hang on to the mountain with your fingertips while clinging to that next handhold. Dealing with situations on the spot. Trying so hard to guess the next step correctly before anyone else has a chance to breathe, because everyone is looking to you to be their fearless leader in all things safety, and no matter what, you can never, ever, ever be wrong. Let's just breathe for a minute here. I soon learned that moving with a sense of urgency is less about breaking the sound barrier and more about getting the train moving. Everyone is on board, the tracks are laid in a purposeful direction, and the destination is set. For instance, I received a better reaction from my plant manager and our leadership team if I came into a conversation armed with 3 pieces of information. Number 1, my history with the situation, which is to say how I found out about it, what questions have I asked, and who have I asked them to. Number 2, the current condition. Where are we at with it at the moment? Who has been brought in to help? And who am I waiting for information from? And 3, what are the next steps? What is the plan and what are the consequences of it? What long-term events will be seen? And how I realistically see the situation resolving itself. It's showing the train has left the station on a deliberate path forward. This, my friends, is urgency. I found when I used this tactic, I gained trust with my plant manager and with my team. Furthermore, I wasn't feeling frantic or tense. There was a sense of confidence and a sense of zen. Yeah, I said it, zen. The kicker to the entire tactic of moving the train forward is to be ready with answers before the questions are asked. If you're surprised by news of the situation, then you've already fallen behind. You have to be the one conducting the train, not chasing it down, trying to get on. This means you need to have a system set up to receive information in real time, whether through emails, phone calls, employee interactions, whatever else you can think of. Let's set up an example to demonstrate this leadership strategy. Let's say Mike is a safety manager for a high-speed manufacturing facility. Mike has established a cadence to his morning turnover meeting where he meets with his department and extended front-line leadership. One morning he hears about a slippery floor reported next to a new machine. The area of the floor is used frequently and could cause someone to slip and fall. Mike hears about the condition, asks questions, and takes a quick walk with Aaron, an employee, out to the area. He confirms the floor is slippery. Mike catches the supervisor for the area, Tom, on his way back to his office and asks for ideas. Tom thinks it might be a good idea to lay down some mats or maybe find some sort of coating to apply to the floor that'll give him more traction. Mike returns to his office and calls Eric, a safety leader in another facility with the same type of machine. Eric is not yet in the office for the day, so Mike leaves him a message. At the morning turnover meeting, the plant manager says an upset employee has emailed him about the slippery floor. Mike responds with, "Number 1, I heard about the slippery floor this morning during morning turnover. Aaron and I went to look at it, and yes, it is very slippery and it needs to be fixed. Tom told me it may be a good idea to put some more mats out there until we can find a permanent fix, and I agree. I have a phone call out to Aaron to find out how their plant handled the situation, and I'm waiting for him to return the call." Okay, step 3. While I wait for his return call, I'd like to meet with Corey, one of the engineers, about maybe putting a better coating on the floor in that area to provide a long-term solution. We'll then hear back from Aaron and make a decision. I should be able to update you by the end of the week. Now, you may have provided an explanation, but I guarantee your plant manager just heard music. Well, maybe safety music. And boom, that's what urgency looks like to me. Now, it's worth noting that some situations will surprise you no matter how hard you try and get in front of them. What do you do if you come late to the party? If the tracks are already laid? Or even worse, if the train is left without you? You learn the situation as fast as you can. You climb to the front of the situation and you align yourself with whoever's conducting the train. And you partner with them as both of you manage the rest of the situation. Sometimes they'll want to handle the situation themselves. Sometimes they'll hand it over to you. The most important piece to all this is that it's repeatable. Over time, gaining wins with this strategy will build trust and credibility with those you work with and the employees that you serve. This is moving with a sense of urgency. So that's the message for this week. Check out the link below. I have a template if you want more of a checklist on how to display a sense of urgency, something maybe a visual management to remind yourself some steps that work. And tell me how it goes. Let's see get some feedback coming in so that we can just verify that this works for everybody, because it seems to work for me and for my experience, and trying to help share and pay it forward. So I'd like to know how it's going for the rest of the group. We'll see you next week, everybody.